Thanks for listening to Bigfoot Society. In this episode, I talked to Don about how a night at a cabin in the Tennessee woods turned into a series of events that would haunt him to today. If you've experienced something similar to what Don has, please reach out immediately after this episode. Remember, your encounter could be the key to unlocking this mystery once and for all. Please reach out to me today using the email bigfootsociety@gmail.com. All right, Bigfoot Society, I've got the privilege of talking to Don. He reached out to me from Eastern Tennessee about some interesting things he experienced a few years back. Don, how's it going today?
It sounds good, Jeremiah, and everything's going great, man. Today's just been a chill day. I've been relaxing and getting things done around the house.
Oh, that's great. I remember when you reached out to me, and it's a very interesting story.
All right, man. Do I have the floor?
Yes, sir.
All right, sounds good, man. Okay, like Jeremiah was saying, my name is Don. I've been living in East Tennessee for the past 2, going on 3 years now. And not the last year of 23, this was 2022 in November, I decided to rent a cabin and go spend some time with my fiance for her birthday in the mountains. And exactly where we were is about 2 hours north of us. And we were in the Gatlinburg, Sevierville, and Pigeon Forge area. And for anyone who is familiar with this area, it's 3 different cities, but they're literally 10 minutes apart from each other. So that's where everything started and where we had our first experience. So just to get started, man, the day of that we had the cabin, we decided to go ahead and head down and get there while it was still daylight. Because like I said, this was in November. Actually, it was November It was the 1st? Okay, it was November the 1st, but it was in celebration of her birthday for the 7th. And I'm pretty sure the 7th was it wasn't a weekend where we were going to have time. Anyway, so we head up to the cabins and everything. And it was just me and my fiance who went out first. Her brother and his girlfriend, they came out a little bit later. So what ended up happening is we got there at a pretty decent time. It was still daylight. And after we got comfortable with the cabin, we wanted to go and grab a bite to eat. So we drove about 12 minutes up the road to Gatlinburg, right? Gatlinburg, yep. So we went to Gatlinburg, sat down at a nice Mexican restaurant. About 9 o'clock, we headed back to the cabin. It was dark, not pitch black, but it was pretty dark. Like I said, we were up in the cabin area. We're just in there hanging out or whatever, just trying to stay up. And we're just checking out things and seeing how things are going. So we decided to go to the back. On the back deck, there was a deck overlooking a valley, and you could see for miles, man, a long ways. We went out, decided to go and get in the hot tub, just chilling and things like that. We did have wine, but this is when things got weird. Okay, so we're sitting out in the hot tub, had to be about 10 minutes at the most. We're just out there hanging out, enjoying the time being spent together. And next thing, man, just out of the blue, my fiance, she just lost control of herself. And what I mean by that, for lack of a better term, she almost fainted. So what happened is I just went right away and I grabbed her and I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like, I'm lightheaded. I need to lay down. So I helped her out of the hot tub. I go take her to the room. I'm just going to lay down. Now, like I said, we had wine, but we had never even drunk it. It was still actually defrosting on this little table area, which is on the back deck. And there's 2 rocking chairs back there also. I get her in the house and everything. And all the way up until this point, man, nothing happened. Like I said, she got her in the house, in the cabin. She laid down or whatever. So I said, hey, babe, I'm going to go and get this wine and put it back in the freezer for later. She's okay. Now, Jeremiah, I didn't mention this part, but earlier when we got to the cabin, when we first got there, we did see a black bear. Now, looking off the deck, if you look to the right, there's the hot tub on the deck, actually. If you look off over the deck to the right, there is a cabin there, but the cabin was unfinished. You could tell that it was being renovated, or it was probably new, getting finished. Now, if you look to the left, we had one neighbor who was right there. And we never really even saw them. But back to the initial part, when I walked to the back door, there's a double door, like I don't know what they call it, but it's the big door, the wooden door with the big glass, like the 5-foot glass or whatever. And it's a double door. So I walked to the door and I opened the back door. When I opened the door, I stepped 1 foot on the balcony, and man, I heard the largest, when I say largest, the largest footsteps I've ever heard in my life. And what was crazy is logically, because I'm a logical thinker first. And like I told you earlier, I've always known about Sasquatch and things like that, but that was the furthest thing from my mind. Like I said, I stepped 1 foot out and I hear some big footsteps. And what happened is, whatever it was, to this day, I don't like to just say Bigfoot, but man, trust me, I know exactly what it was. Those footsteps ran from under this deck. Now, this deck is about 12 to 15 feet off of the ground, but since it's on a elevated area, the right side of the cabin is like ground level to the deck, but the left side of the cabin is, like I said, that distance of about 12 to 15 feet. So I paused in my tracks when I heard those footsteps. Now, keep in mind, we saw a bear earlier that day, and we saw it come up the valley and go over there to that abandoned cabin area, and it was just funneling around, man, maybe for about 15 minutes. We just literally just saw it. We never heard that bear taking its steps. So that had already went out of my mind. And what was more even crazier about the situation, whatever it was, it ran from under that deck and it stopped in some tall weeds. If I'm looking off the back of the deck down into that valley, if it was a regular person, you couldn't walk no more than 20 feet without literally sliding down that valley. And for a person to actually get up that valley, you would definitely need climbing gear, cleats, and something that'll support your weight. Because, man, it's just foliage, it's leaves and trees. And later on, man, I would definitely send you the pictures and the views and things like that. And another thing I didn't tell you is we actually caught something on camera. And Jeremiah, when you see these pictures, man, you're going to be freaked out. And what I did was I did a lot of comparison of that picture that I did capture to a lot of, not Todd Standing, man. It's the other guy. He just recently passed. I can't think of his name right now, but he's also from East Tennessee. But anyway, so what was the craziest part about this is whatever that was ran from under there and it stopped cold, dead in its tracks. So I'm frozen, man, because the footsteps, it just freaked me out. So I closed the door. I didn't even grab the wine. I closed the door. I was like, babe, I need you to come hear this. Something just ran from under the deck. So she's, what do you mean? I said, babe, I just heard some loud footsteps. Something just ran from under this deck. And so after that or whatever, like I said, whatever it was, it stopped. So I gather her. She was feeling better at the time. So I said, just come sit out here. Now, we had this LED disco ball light, and we had it plugged up, and it's actually a Bluetooth speaker. And these lights, man, I'm pretty sure you could see these lights for a good distance. I'm pretty sure this was the root cause of all of this encounter of what happened. So back to the part. So I gathered her. I said, look, we're going to go out here and sit down. I want you to be real quiet and just tell me what you hear. Unknowingly to me, whatever it was had got back under the deck from the time I went in the house to get her. Because like I said, I never stepped fully on the deck. I only put 1 foot out there and it ran from under there. So like I said, on to the next part. We're sitting out there and we're just hearing like footsteps. We're just hearing footsteps. And after that part, just a distance away, because like I said, you can see different mountain peaks and everything. Further in the distance, you can hear it sounded like someone yelling, but it didn't sound normal, if that makes sense. She's sitting out there on my lap. We're both sitting in one of the rocking chairs. We actually sat in a rocking chair close to the door. At this point, I unplugged the lights because I was freaked out. I unplugged the lights, not even thinking that the lights was the cause at this point. I just unplugged the lights and went back there and sat down. So we turned off the porch light also. So she's sitting there and she steady hearing something under us moving. And she was like, babe, I'm scared. I'm about to go in the house. So she was like, I got to go use the restroom. So she went in the house and she used the restroom. So I called her brother. And around this time, man, this is like around 10:30, 11 o'clock. So I call him. I'm like, hey, Jay, where you guys? They're like, man, we're in Knoxville now. We're probably like another hour and a half away. I was like, man, listen, I don't know what this is, bro, but I just heard something big run from under this deck. So him and his girlfriend, I had just moved here. So her excuse was, oh, you're not from here. It's probably just bears and you're not comfortable with the mountains yet. I was like, okay. I know how a bear sound. We saw a bear earlier. The bear was at least 300 pounds, somewhere in there. I'm not really good with weights. I'm going to say 300 some pounds. We couldn't even hear this bear when it was walking, and we watched this bear for about 15 minutes total. I'm on the call, and I'm like, listen, man, y'all just let us know when y'all close. We can be up and getting around. Hung up with them or whatever. I go back in the house. My girl, I'm like, babe, you coming back out? She's no, I'm okay. So I was like, you know what? Forget it. Let's just try to lay down or whatever and relax until your brother gets here. We go in the house and we fall asleep. I think he called us like around almost 2:00. And he was like, hey man, I'm headed there. I turned off the main script. I'm coming up the mountains now. I was like, okay, tell me what you see. Now at this point, I got back up. I plugged the lights, the LED light back up, but the back porch area where the deck is, that light stayed off. I never turned that light back on. So those lights are just beaming, the LED lights. He's coming up the mountain and they're like, hey, him and his girlfriend, they're like, man, we seeing these lights, bro. And I was like, what kind of lights? He was like, they're colorful. I was like, okay, man, that's the speaker. That's the Bluetooth speaker. He was like, for real? I was like, yeah. He said, bro, we got to be close to y'all, but he drove at least another 7 to 10 minutes to actually get up there. And he was like, man, I saw those lights when we first started actually coming up. And I was like, man, that's weird because I didn't think that you could see it from that far. So him and his girlfriend get there. At this time, it's a little after 2. The cabin I don't know the name of this game. I guess it's called shuffleboard. And then it had a lot of little board games. We brought out the wine, drink. I'm not a big drinker. I've never been. It was a celebration, so we're celebrating. So they come. We're all hanging out or whatever. We're just out there chilling. So I said, look, y'all, I want y'all to come on this deck with me and tell me what you guys hear. They're like, okay. His girlfriend still, oh, man, I told you it's bears, this, that, and that. I was like, okay, cool, fine. Let's just go sit out here. I said, look, we are all going to go out here. I want everybody to be quiet. Now, my brother-in-law, his girlfriend, she smokes cigarettes. So she was standing out there smoking her cigarette and everything. We're just all standing out there just chilling. I said, listen, everybody just get real quiet. Let's try not to talk to each other. But we still were whispering to each other. Whatever it was at the time, you could hear something moving slightly through the freaking whatever. It's not, they're not bushes. They're like tall weeds and grass. So you could hear something like sneaking through, just moving around. And so what ended up happening is I didn't see this, but my brother-in-law, he said, and the reason I didn't see this is because every time I heard a noise from a different area, I was looking in that area, just pointing, y'all hear that? Y'all hear that? All of a sudden, they break off and run in the house, in the cabin. And I'm like, why the heck are y'all running in that? What are y'all doing? He was like, man, I saw something rising up right there in those tall grass. He said, I saw like half of a head or something, and it was rising up. He said, I ran. I said, bro, are y'all serious or are y'all playing? He's, bro, I swear I am not lying. I saw something. He said he saw the head and like the shoulder area. So I'm like, for you, so let's say the bottom of the deck is 10 feet. Give or take 2 or 3 feet. For him to be able to see something down there, it would have had to at least been 8.5 feet tall. You see what I'm saying? Because the distance, because we actually walked back there when we initially got there while it was still daytime, just to see how everything was. In my head, even if I reached my arm up, man, I was nowhere near the bottom of that deck. So that right there, it freaked me out. We all in the house and we're talking about it. At this point, his girlfriend is like, what the heck was that? What was that? Like I said, I think everyone saw it but me. But the reason I didn't see it is because when we were out there sitting out there being quiet, we just different areas, like from the right where the abandoned cabin, not abandoned, the empty cabin was, we were hearing noises over there. We were hearing noises to my left over there where we did have neighbors in their cabin. And also we were hearing noises coming from out of that deep valley. Everybody calmed down and I said, y'all, let's go back out here. I was like, let's not make a lot of racket and stuff because there's something out here. So this time when we all go back out there, my brother-in-law's girlfriend said, hey, you guys want me to record to see if we can catch anything? I was like, okay, cool. But what she did, she didn't record. She did an audio recorder. So she went back out there. She was finishing her cigarette that she had put out before we all ran. I walked in because I didn't see what they initially saw. So they ran in. So she fired back up her cigarette. She set her phone on the top of the deck and she just turned the speaker towards where we were hearing these sounds. Now, Jeremiah, this right here freaked me out and it freaked everybody out. To the right, you're hearing it. To the left, Same thing, straight ahead. You're hearing all this. It had to be at least, I'm thinking 3 or more. We all heard a freaking branch, not a stick, possibly a log, man. It just cracked. And when I tell you, Jeremiah, everything just, all that noise we was hearing, everything ceased. And it was so crazy because I called to their attention. I said, listen, I'm not the smartest person in the world, and I'm not even just that avid of a person in the woods. But no animal, wolves, bears, coyotes, whatever, if they break something while they're walking, like if they step on something, they're not going to stop. And what was crazy, whatever that was, when it stepped on that we actually have this on recording. We haven't enhanced it or anything. It's just on recording. That freaking stick not stick, the log, whatever, man, branch, it cracked so loud, like something either broke it or stepped on it. I'm thinking something stepped on it, because when it did that, like I said, all of the other motions around us is stopped. So we're all looking at each other. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? And we're like, yeah. So at that point, I think did we go back in at that point? Yeah, we all went back in the house. They was like, man, this is too freaky for me. This is too creepy. So the night goes on. We forget about it. We're playing shuffleboard, just hanging out, having fun, listening to music. And around this time, man, this is a little bit after 3. At that point, we decided to go ahead and lay down because, me and my fiance, we had already been up waiting on them and took a little nap. So we decided to lay down. So we're in the room laying down. No, I'm sorry. I skipped a part. Before that, while we were all in there playing the game and everything, like in the living room area, my fiance went to the bathroom. Now, there's 2 rooms in this cabin. On the side that's elevated off the ground real high, that's the side of the cabin me and my fiance slept on. Now, the other side of the cabin, that if you're at their window, you're right there ground level. Like you can walk over there and you can be right there at their window like a regular level house. I told you that specifically because of this point. So my fiance was in our bathroom. Now our bathroom, if you walk out of our room and go toward the kitchen area, you're looking at the front deck. That front deck is connected to the bathroom. You see what I'm trying to see, the picture I'm trying to convey. So she came out. She was like, were you guys tapping on the walls? And we were like, what? She was like, I just heard something tap on the wall. Was it the wall or the window? The wall. Okay. She said it was the wall. So she said something was tapping. We blew that off. We weren't even thinking about it. Later on in the night, when we decided to lay down and everything, we dozed off, man. I'm in a dead sleep, Jeremiah. I'm in a dead sleep, man. And I swear to you, I heard this freakish tap. Now, I'm trying to paint this picture for you. On the side of our cabin where we were sleeping, the bed is made of pure wood. I don't know what kind of wood, but it literally was made of pure wood. The cabin is a pure wooden cabin. Now, what happened is I heard a freaking tap right above my head. Now, the only thing on that side of the whole cabin is the AC, the outside AC unit. And Jeremiah, just for me to paint the picture, the only way a person could get up there and tap where I heard that tap above my head in that bed, you would probably need one of those real big ladders. And to be honest, I don't even think that you could do that with that. My point is, I heard something tap. Now, do you know how hard something have to tap for me to hear it through this wooden cabin in the wooden bed? Like I felt the taps on the headboard of the bed. So the tap was like tap, and I woke up out of my sleep. So I'm like, babe, did you? And around this time, it's about 4 a.m. I'm like, babe, did you hear that? She was like, hear what? I was like, okay, don't worry about it. So my logical mind is thinking, this is a new place. I've never been here before. It could be something on the roof, something falling on the roof or whatever. Man, Jeremiah, this exact same cadence again, after I dozed off, it was like 3 minutes later when you know how you wake up and you almost back in that sleep, tap, tap, right above my head again. Bro, I lost it, Jeremiah. And when I woke up the first time, I forgot to mention this. When I woke up, man, as a child, when you wake up in the middle of the night and it's pitch black and it's just this lingering feeling, it's just you're just super scared. For some reason, when I first initially woke up from that first cadence of taps, man, I was purely just scared. I couldn't tell you why. And it's something I've never experienced before. But the crazy thing about it is, like I said, when the secondary taps happened after that initial tap, I knew it was something freaky going on, man. I just knew it was because there's no way someone is out here tapping on someone's cabin at 4 a.m. It just don't, it didn't make sense, man. So I always carry when I'm traveling, and I was sleeping with a AR pistol, and then I had my Glock pistol. There was never any time in my mind I was thinking about discharging the weapon. But my thing is, man, I just, when I grabbed it closer to me, like sleeping, it just gave me a sense of comfort. You know what I'm saying? Because in my head, I'm trying to gather, how can even if someone stood on that unit, you would still need a ladder to reach right above where my head is in his bed. Man, after all of that or whatever, man, I couldn't sleep. So we got up, and I go over, and my girl's brother and his girlfriend, they're gamers. So they were up gaming. So I go out and I'm like, hey, man, have y'all been hearing something tap? And his girlfriend was like, when I was in the bathroom early, and this was way after my fiance, she's like, when I was in the bathroom early, I heard something tapping. What we did was we turned off all the lights, and we started looking out of their window over there toward the empty cabin, but we couldn't see anything. And I'm like, man, it's just super freaky, man, what happened. But it was just, when you experience something that you never experienced before, you don't know how to grasp your mind around the concept of what's really going on. And then, so pretty much after that, man, I think we initially went to sleep, but my fiance's brother, no, his girlfriend, they said that they really didn't go to sleep that night because they just felt uncomfortable. And like I said, she was the one before she got there. Yeah, it's just bears and you're not used to it or whatever. But I mean, to this day, man, she'll tell you, I know what was out there, man, and it wasn't no dang on bears, man. That was pretty much the night, man. Trying to just jog my memory and make sure there's not anything that I missed. But just in a nutshell, man, that's pretty much what happened that first night, and just the experience and what I felt in general, man. It was crazy. Oh yeah, Jeremiah, this is something immediate also that I need to tell you. While we were out there on that deck, we had neighbors that were adjacent to the unfinished cabin, but so I want you to, because I'm trying to give you a perspective. So if we're on our deck, if we're looking immediate, there's the unfinished cabin. But if you look at the 2 o'clock away from that cabin, there was other people in the cabin, but they were higher in elevation than us. So what was crazy is the whole time when we were sitting out there on the deck recording those sounds and stuff like that, whatever was messing with us had to be over there messing with those people, because at the time it was between 2 and 3 in the morning while we were out there on the deck. And those people were on their deck with flashlights, flashing it down into the valley like they were looking for something. And we're like, what could these people be looking for down in that valley at 2, 3 in the morning? It was so crazy, and that just verified what was happening to us. We just chalked it up to whatever it is. It's over there messing with those people because, come on, man. What could they been looking for at 2, 3 in the morning down in the valley? I think it was like 2 dudes and maybe a woman, because you could see them. If we had binoculars, we probably could look in their cabin, but we're looking up in elevation at them on the deck, and they have flashlights and phones shining down into the valley. And we're like, man, that it just blew our mind, man. It was so crazy, man. It was so crazy, Jeremiah.
Don, that's an incredible account for sure. I don't know how you guys didn't just leave the premises.
I'm serious, man. I paid that money, Jeremiah. I didn't want to give them back.
I love it. I have I'm working through a few questions. If I can ask you some questions about the night.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
The tapping that you guys heard. So just playing like devil's advocate for a bit. So was it different than like a noise you would hear like a woodpecker, or can you describe what it sounded like?
Perfect. Yeah, no problem. I didn't hear the taps on the house, it was never the window. It was like taps on the cabin itself. Mm-hmm. I didn't hear the taps that my fiance's brother-in-law girlfriend heard. And I also didn't hear the taps that my fiance heard, but she's right here with me, and she could, what did those taps sound like?
It was really hard.
Like just somewhat, like how many taps was it?
It was just one.
One tap?
First.
Just like a tap?
Yeah.
Okay. So she said it was just one tap that she heard. Now me, the taps that I heard, it was two of the same cadences. And the thing is, if the first tap was tap, 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 and then the second tap was like tap, 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 or something like that, I still wouldn't know how to explain it. But it was so freaky because Jeremiah, when the taps happened, it was the cadence. Tap, 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 tap. And what I've chalked it up to be was something was trying to get my attention in general because Jeremiah, the taps were right above my head. So I heard the taps through this pure wooden cabin and through this pure wooden headboard. The taps were right above my head, like it knew where I was laying in the bed so it could tap. And like I said, the first taps were like, hold on. It was like that. Could you hear that, Jeremiah?
A little bit.
Okay, I'm sorry. Well, I'm not gonna bang on the wall, but it was tap, 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 tap. Okay. That was the first one. Like I said. So that initially, woke me up. And I asked my fiance, hey, did you hear that? She was like, hear what? I'm like, okay, don't worry about it. Like I said, I'm thinking, okay, it could be the heat or whatever, I just blew it off. When I dozed back off, man, it couldn't have been 3 to 5 minutes later, I hear the same exact cadence, the same exact tap in the same spot that I heard it, right above my head, man. No way. I never heard a woodpecker go tap, 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 tap. I mean, it's always tap, 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 tap. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if woodpeckers are even out at that. Sorry, I'm tongue twisted. I don't even know if woodpeckers are out in the area in those times. Like I said, this was the 1st of November. In celebration for her birthday, which is November the 7th. Man, it's no way possible it could have been a woodpecker. And if it was a woodpecker, it had to be super intelligent for it to do the same cadence twice. It just had to be, man.
The other thing that really is interesting is how you mentioned that the neighbors in that area were looking down in the valley with their flashlights. That's
at 3 a.m.
Wild, at like 3. Why, man?
At 3 a.m, Jeremiah. And like I said, I'm pretty sure the whole reason that we even had this encounter, there's just a little half a circle disco ball. It's like a little Bluetooth. Right. And the lights shining all over the cabin and also out of that back window, it had to broadcast pretty high in the air. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people saw those lights because like I said, it took them 7 to 10 minutes after they got off the main strip to come up to where we were. They were telling us that they saw the lights before they even got on the road to actually come up there. So I'm knowing that these lights had to be seen for at least a mile, Jeremiah. And we're up in elevation. And man, when I get a chance, maybe after this call, after we're off the call, I'll definitely send you the pictures. We have the video of that bear also, right? I'll send you some just pictures and videos of that whole thing. But what is really crazy, Jeremiah, I can't remember exactly what time it was. When I walked out there and I shot that little, 8-second video, was that before or after your brother and them came? It was before. Yeah, so Jeremiah, at one point in time, before they came or whatever, I think this was actually right after we got back from the Mexican restaurant. I go outside and I'm just BSing. I'm in the woods. I'm happy. So I just go out there and I'm just, I just shoot a quick video of I wouldn't call it a tree line, but it's just a row of trees next. Let me see. If I'm on the front deck, it was to the left. So it was the left. So it was over there close to where my fiance's brother and his girlfriend's room was. There was a row of trees right there, whatever. But I just shot a quick video and I didn't even notice anything in the video when I first shot it. But due to all of the strange things that we encountered later on that night and stuff like that, maybe a week or so later, something was just telling me to go through the video. So you have an iPhone, right? Mm-hmm. When you shoot a video on the iPhone, you can go to the video. At the bottom of the video, you have the little script part down there. You can take your finger and scrub it and it'll slowly pan through the video. Man, Jeremiah, these pictures that I'm going to send you, I've only ever sent these pictures to one guy. And the reason being is because this guy, he has a real a unique name. If I needed to find him, I probably could again. But this was the only guy that I've ever sent these pictures to besides my fiance and her brother and his girlfriend. But the guy, he reached out. I reached out to him and he finally reached out to me. I sent him the pictures and just asked him what he thought. And he was like, man, you definitely have something here. And I just told him, I don't mind you sharing these pictures with any. Just give me feedback. He never gave me feedback on anything, and hopefully he's not using my pictures just for anything. It is what it is. I don't care. My whole thing was I needed to reach out to someone at that time, man, because like I said, I've been following this whole topic ever since I graduated in 2013. I was working at a private speech school in 2014. So from about 2014 all the way up until now, I was very aware. I followed Jeff Meldrum, Scott Carpenter. That's the guy I was mentioning, who's actually from East Tennessee also. I follow all these people. And like I said, my first perspective when I got into it back in 2014, 2015, it was more the lines of, okay, just an unknown ape or primate that hasn't been discovered. But after what I've experienced and even before all of this information, like I said, I drive trucks, man, and I see the vast amount of land that is out here and just in one or two states. It's mind-blowing for the masses not to believe that something could exist that is just as much or more intelligent in not technically advanced, but in a sense of just being out in the wilderness. It's right here in our faces, man. You just have to get out here and experience things. But Jeremiah, man, I promise you, I've never experienced anything like this ever in my life, man. I mean, it was amazing and all, man, but it just pushed me to want to look more into the topic and do more research. But I do follow and read a lot of credible people's work and stuff like that, man. And I know for a fact what I experienced. Like I said, I've never seen one personally in real life, only off of that picture that I saw. But in real life myself, I didn't see it. My fiance's brother, he saw it. He said he saw half of a face and some shoulders. And this was 12 to 15 feet off of the ground. So I'm just projecting that if the bottom of the deck is 10 to 12 feet, then the top part of the deck where we were sitting the phone and things like that, it had to be 14 to 15 feet. So for him to be looking straight ahead or downward in the angle and see something rising up, shoulders and stuff, I'm like, man, bears don't do that. And if a bear stands up, it's real sloppy. He said it was rising real slow. And he said the crazy thing about it is, it wasn't even fully erect. It was just like lifting itself up. Right. So it's crazy, man. It was crazy, man. I tell you.
You mentioned that your brother-in-law's girlfriend, I believe, had some audio recordings that were taken. That would be interesting. I don't know if it's possible to hear those at all, but those are pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think it was maybe one or two recordings. If I don't want to say the wrong thing, but it was one or two. I know for sure it was one. But on that one recording, when we heard that branch or log or whatever it was, when it stepped on it and everything got quiet, on that recording, you know how on an audio recording you can see spikes to where sound is played like a sound. There's a real small spike. You can faintly hear something was yelling. It was one or two, something was yelling, but it wasn't right there where we were hearing all this motion around us. This was like far away. Like you could faintly hear something like, and I'm like, who in the hell would be out here at 2, 3 in the morning yelling like that? And Jeremiah, the next morning, this was crazy, Jeremiah. We heard someone, it sounded like they were having a gunfight. And then also the next morning when we go out, we see huge turkeys just walking up the driveway. And then, what time? Okay, the next morning we went outside. That bear, this had to be after we saw the bear and it went about its business. So when we left the Mexican restaurant earlier that day around 9, 10 o'clock, whatever. I'm going to say more 9 o'clock. Had to be about 9. We had food in the car, but we took it out. So the smell of the food was in the car. We saw prints on the window in the car door, but we just said it had to be the bear that we saw. We just chalked it up to the bear. But That whole night, we kept hearing something over there by the car. So the car is parked. The car, okay, if you're pulling to this cabin, you're coming up like a mountainous road. It's not like the road where you're almost about to run people off the road, but it is a small road. Only 2 cars can fit. But my point is, when you drive up that driveway, the driveway is to the left. When you pull directly beside the cabin to park, there's the AC unit. You look up, there's a big circle window about 18 feet off the ground. This is above the bed area where we were sleeping in our room. And then over there in that area, we just kept hearing something. So let's just say I get out of the car and I'm standing right there on the side of the cabin. If I walk straight back, we have the bins right there, the bear-proof bins, and you can literally walk under the back deck right when you walk past there. Now, there were 2 doors, like some utility doors right there by that AC unit, but it was locked from the outside, right? That thought went through my head. Like, I know gosh darn nobody's out here under here in this utility area, but you could tell that the lock hadn't been fondled with or anything, because I'm pretty sure I'm skipping around because things are popping up in my head. There was also a door inside of my fiance brother's room. It was locked. I don't think nothing was too creepy about that, but it was just a locked door in the room. And I'm guessing it went to maybe like a hot water heater or something like that they didn't want someone to have access to. That was crazy. But those double doors, it's not anything that I think that had to do with anything. I'm sure of that. But my point is, man, if you were to walk from under that deck, let's just say 12 feet. After that 12, maybe 15 feet, you're going to slide down that valley, man. That's how much of a steep decline it was coming from under the back of the deck area. And whatever that was initially when I first heard that, when I stepped 1 foot out there to grab that wine bottle, man, something ran and it stopped right in that area, right at that point where you're about to go down. And I'm like, man, this doesn't make any logical sense. Who would be out here messing with people in a cabin? It's just crazy, man.
Don, the next morning, before you left, did you happen to look around the outside of the cabin to see maybe if you found any tracks on the ground around where the tapping was happening or anything to do with the wall on the outside?
See, this is the thing. I did check out that wall area, and it made me even more uncomfortable because the area right there, it's basically a driveway. So there's no way any footprints could have been seen. And even back when you walk back there under that deck area where we were hearing all of this commotion, it's so much leaf foliage because of the location we're at. You know what I'm saying? And this was like the beginning of fall. This was fall. So you got orange leaves, red leaves, brown leaves, green leaves. Man, there wouldn't have been a way. It wasn't the type of soil or anything where there's like mud or it's just hard packed, just a wooded area with foliage, and that little area away from under the deck area was just like, it wasn't bushes, it wasn't thick like that. It was almost like that tall grass, that tall brown thin grass. It was like just full of that. And like I said, I have pictures. I have videos and pictures. I'm gonna go through them and send you everything that's significant pertaining to this. But the only thing that we did see, what we suggested it to be, was maybe the smell from that food was still in the car, and the bear. I guess the bear I'm sure whatever the bear, I think it was a bear. I'm going to say it was a bear. It put his hand on the window like it was trying to press up against the window, but we saw a muddy print on the window and a muddy print on the car, like on the car door. And not like it was pulling it. It was just like something stood up against the car, basically. And it stood out so much because before we went to the cabins, I had just washed her car. So a muddy freaking print on the car it sticks out like a sore thumb. But I'm going to just say that was the bear because we did see that bear later again in the night, like when we were out there. But when we were hearing all of this other commotion that was around us, that bear was nowhere in sight. I can guarantee it was nowhere in sight.
Yeah, I agree with you, Don. Some of it sounds like potentially a bear, but some of it definitely, I'm saying, not a bear from
Facts.
What I'm hearing from your story. Man,
Facts.
It just feels like there's a lot more that could, I would talk to the brother-in-law, talk to the brother-in-law's girlfriend. I'd love to hear what because they saw some stuff that you didn't see.
So I'm gonna ask you something, Jeremiah.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law he's actually here. Is there anything against like him just saying a couple of words on the show real quick?
So there's not. I'll have to get I'll want to do guest releases before I can air the episode. But if you want to ask him if they're up for it.
Okay, yeah, he'll definitely be up for it. Now, I'm going down here. I haven't talked to him about any of this, so I want you in the audience to generally hear. I want you guys to generally hear. Now, watch this. Okay. This is authentic. Just watch this. Jay. All right, so you remember when we went to the cabin, right? I got a guy on the phone. He got a podcast. It's called Bigfoot Society. I reached out to him a while ago. He wants to know what it was you saw when we were on the back of the deck. His name is Jeremiah. Jeremiah, this is my brother-in-law, Jordan.
Hey, Jordan.
What's up, man? It was like a big, fuzzy, gray. It was like coming up off fours. It was like standing up, but I went inside before it even showed his face or anything.
And then let me see. Okay, I told him about that part, and then he was just, okay, what about we were hearing all that movement around?
Oh, yeah, it was like coming from different areas of the woods and shit. And then one was stepped on like on a big-ass log, and it snapped.
Yeah, and everything went quiet, right?
Yeah, everything just went quiet after that.
Now, initially, before y'all made it, when I called you, tell him about the call. Tell him how panicked I was. Tell him about the call.
I thought you were just seeing a bear and shit. But then I saw that big-ass gray, whatever it was.
It was. And then your girlfriend, does she still think it's a bear?
No, she believes in what you was talking about.
And then
you and my sister, her and my sister saw it.
Yeah, that's why I told him I was the only one who didn't see it. Only
because you were looking at the other side.
Yeah, I kept looking everywhere else when we were hearing those noises. Yeah. And then the damn tapping that I told y'all about.
On the cabin door, on the wall.
On the wall, man. Like, and I was just telling Jeremiah, I haven't even talked to you about any of this. You know what I'm saying? And then the picture that I found in that little video that I sent, right?
You can see the face and shit.
Man, now Jeremiah, you in the audience, man. Y'all just heard that live. This is not anything that was initiated. He's in here playing the game right now, man. But I know he has more to say, man. But like I say, I know you have to have the release forms and all of that. But I just wanted you guys to just hear this for yourself, man. Like I said, everything that I just sat here and told you guys, he just initialized it because he was there, man. And like I said, I didn't get to see anything. Everybody else saw it. My fiance, him, and his girlfriend, they all saw something and they freaked out and ran in the house. And I was frustrated because I'm like, why would y'all do that? You know what I'm saying? But I could understand. He was like, man, I wasn't about to look and see what it was.
So is Jordan still there?
Oh, give me 1 second. I'm sorry, man. He's still right here. Hold on. Give me 1 second, Jeremiah. I think he got a question for you, bro. All right, Jeremiah, here he is.
Jordan, when you and your girlfriend, correct? You said you actually saw the face of whatever it was.
I saw the body. It was standing up. I seen it on the verge to stand up, but I went inside before I could see the face because I got a little scared. I ain't gonna lie.
Did you notice anything about the body that you could see that you remember?
It was very furry, big. Like the arms were huge. It was way bigger than the bear. And like I said, it was still standing. We were on the second story, and it was still standing on this way to stand up before I went inside. It wasn't even fully standing up. It was still like if you was just on all fours and you just getting on twos.
When you say the arms were huge, what do you mean by that?
Like the size of a big branch. I don't know how else to explain it, man.
The width of them, like muscular?
Very muscular, yeah.
Okay. Did you see anything about the length of the arms at all?
Oh yeah, they were like at least 6 feet long.
And what I told him is where we were is about 15 feet off the ground. For you to be able to see him, it would have to have been at least 8 to 9 feet tall, bro.
Or taller, because like I said, he wasn't even standing up fully. He was just rising from all fours to his feet.
One last question, Jordan. I appreciate you being ambushed like this. Do you remember anything about the head? Did you see the head of the creature at all? Like the shape of the head?
I mean, it was like a size of like 2 basketballs, if anything. I saw the head. I just didn't see the face.
That's pretty awesome, Jordan. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate that, Jay. Yeah, Jeremiah, man. I'm not going to say I wish I would have seen it, how they reacted, but, man, I'm just still blown away about this, man.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Don, this is a wild one. I'll be very interested once you're able to send some of the different evidence over. I'm interested to see what it looks like for sure.
Man, listen, I tell you what, Jeremiah. How much more time do we have?
Oh, I got time. It's really, if you have other things to share. Actually, before I forget, I had another question is some people, so a lot of listeners really like the area that you're talking about, this whole Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, blah, blah, blah. Are you able to share like specifics as to, it sounds like it's just a place you rented out. Are you able to share specifics about it?
If I needed to get like specific as in exactly how to get to it, this specific cabin, I would love to do that. But that would be something that I would do offline because we have a lot of crazies out here and I don't want this area being ambushed and bombarded.
Sure.
But all of that information, I can give it to you offline. Okay. But I don't feel comfortable doing it on here. But what I can tell the people is we were just we passed right by the cabin. And I don't mean like physically pass by it, but there's a strip in Gatlinburg. The cabin is located in Sevierville or Sevierville, however you want to pronounce it. It's spelled Seiverville. And this is past Dollywood and all of that out there, the main attraction. But so you have Sevierville or Sevierville, you have Pigeon Forge, you have Gatlinburg. Man, I forgot where I was going with this. Okay, so we were just there. We actually spent Christmas Eve and Christmas literally in that same area. The only difference is the first cabin where we experienced all of this. So if we're heading toward Gatlinburg, you have to turn down this middle and then go back the opposite way like you were coming to turn right to go up that mountain. Now, where we stayed at this time, if you're going to Gatlinburg, you just go right up this road and past this. It's like what do you call it? The little station, whatever, what the forest ranger station or whatever. Sure. You go up past that. The difference in where we stayed this time, we were actually higher up in elevation than the first cabin, but it was more populated. Like I have videos and pictures from that also. But the thing is, the other cabin is high in elevation, but it at the time, now I can't speak for today because like I said, this was not last year. This was November of 2022. That area, like I said, we had abandoned, unfinished cabin to the right of it. Okay, hold on. If I'm looking at the front of the cabin, it's to the right. And we had one neighbor to the left of us, and we never saw them the whole time. We saw the car, but we never saw them. Now, the people who were back on the deck flashing down into the valley, they were our neighbors also, but they were only our neighbors because of the location that we were in, and we could actually see them. If I were to guess, if let's just say we were 30 feet in the air, they had to be about 60. Because the cabin that they had was a little bigger than ours, because ours was only a 2-bedroom. Their cabin, they looked like they had maybe a 5-bedroom cabin, and they had a super nice deck on the back. But all of this, man, if you're ever in this area, Jeremiah, or if you're interested, man, because there's a lot of people that I've heard on your podcast that I would love to get out and just do some researching or whatever you want to call it with, man. But yeah, but if people are interested in this area as far as just traveling, not just the Bigfoot or both, man, it's a great area to come to. Actually, for people who've never been there, if they do decide to actually go to Gatlinburg for Christmas or something like that, the whole town of Gatlinburg is open for Christmas. But nothing's closed down. If it is, there's maybe 1 or 2 spots, but they make all of their money around the holidays. So that is definitely something that people should look into if they want to come out. They've never experienced being out in the mountains in the cabins. I will not share the location with anyone but you where we stayed at.
Sure.
But if people wanted just a general area, I would definitely be willing to share that part.
Which you would say the general area you can share on the podcast is like Sevierville.
Sevierville. Yeah, Sevierville. Yep.
Gotcha. Because I know I'm going to get, dude, after every episode, I get emails and guys are always like, hey, tell me where. I can't tell you.
Yeah, but listen, man, I swear. Hey, look, that's confidential.
Right.
But there's this older guy, Jeremiah, from a while ago. And I'm going to just bring it to make the only way I could probably make you remember, because I know you have so many episodes. There was this guy who I think he had a girlfriend, and he was like, I just want them to go away. They slapped the house. They've killed dogs and all of this.
Yeah.
Is that kind of...
I know exactly which one you're talking about. Yeah.
I would love to... Was that guy from Tennessee?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Man, Jeremiah, I don't know if you've ever done it, man. If you can, try and see if he's okay with someone else who's had an experience, man. I'm not trying to go and stir up anything. I would love to just go out and just explore that guy's property, man, if ever possible, man.
I know he listens, but yeah, that would be very interesting, I think, because from what it sounds like, stuff is still happening off and on. It's a pretty wild area for sure where he's at.
I hate that. Yeah. I hate that for that old guy, man. That's no way for anyone to live, man.
And his neighbors too. The crazy thing, it's not just him. But Don, it has been such a fun time chatting with you. And I feel like there's going to be more that comes out about this whole night. I just have a feeling that the story's not done, but I appreciate you reaching out to me.
Yeah, man, no problem. I appreciate you, man. And I have to give you your flowers, man. What you're doing, man, is great. Keep up the great work, man. Full force ahead. Don't let anyone stop you, man. You seem like an honest guy. Hopefully you and your family had a great Christmas and things like that, man. And it may be a push, man, but hopefully, man, one day, man, we can sit down and talk about something, man, and maybe just set up a camping trip or something, man, because I live maybe about 20 minutes from Ocoee River, and me and my fiance, we like to take our bully puppy and go up into the mountains, get fresh air, and just look over and just unwind up there, man. But if you're ever in East Tennessee, you're in Missouri. Where are you, Jeremiah?
Central Iowa. Yeah.
Central Iowa. Okay. Yeah. If you're ever in East Tennessee, man, in this area, man, you do have my contact and my email, man. If you want to set something up, man, where we can just get out and do something fun. It doesn't even have to be Bigfoot related, but if you ever need some guidance or something fun to do or me to point you in a direction in this area, man, please feel free to reach out to me.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And Don, thank you so much for coming on. I am going to stop recording here. Here at Bigfoot Society, our goal is to provide a platform for those that have encountered Bigfoot to share their encounter in a safe environment. But we need to hear your story. If you've experienced something that you just can't explain, please send me an email at bigfootsociety@gmail.com. Then we can start the conversation. And I know a lot of you have not shared your encounter at all. It's been 20 years. And it's time that you get this off your chest, and then you can get some well-deserved rest, because I know you haven't been sleeping. I understand what you're going through, and I appreciate every one of you listening.